Oh, for me, it's very simple, our legacy, because if you take into consideration that four of us pretty much left school at 15 with not a single exam between us, and that we've got three professors in the band, four Kabbalists, one priest, one druid, we've got a composer, we've got two architects, one of which has built two buildings. We've got someone who's an art curator and art restorer for the Rockefeller family, all within one band. I can keep going on, actually, you know. And then you have to think, well, how did we achieve all this considering we don't have a single high school exam between us? And there you go, there's the legacy in one. The legacy is self-education, if there is any legacy. It's the fact that most things are attainable and you can do it yourself. You don't need to go to university. Killing Joke really was my further education, my university.
Do you feel like it's maybe a bit of therapy too to keep you saying all these things?
Oh sure, it's a social function to stop us from becoming murderers.
Right.
Sure, it has been that. When we played Athens recently, there were riots kicking off outside the concert hall. Think about it like this. With these austerity measures, Ireland, Greece, people at the lowest level of the food chain who are living on benefits, who can barely afford the cheapest food in the supermarket. Now, food prices have gone up 40% in 1 year, and these people now are going to cut their benefits so they have even less. You don't have to be too intelligent to work out where this is all heading. If there's more cuts and more, it means people are going to go hungry, and that when they go hungry, then perhaps that's when it gets potentially explosive, you know. Sure, I think it's happening already, but in saying that, I'm also shocked at the level of apathy within people. For example, in the UK, there's 10 new nuclear power stations going to be built in the next 8 years. 30 years ago, you used to feel like you used to fill Trafalgar Square with people protesting about nuclear energy and nuclear weapons and everything. Now everybody's completely indifferent. There's no sense of rebellion. Now, whether this is something to do with the water supply or something squirted in the air, I don't know. But I tend to feel that there's no rebellion left in music. There's no movement of a counterculture. People are just tired, in debt, and they have no will to rebel. They just kind of accept everything that's happening now, and that's pretty shocking. I don't think there is an awful lot of rebellion left in people. I think they've had the shit kicked out of them. Oh, I think that's sort of an alternative lifestyle. Look, we'll address these things one at a time. If you look at the statistics with the nuclear family, they're clearly a minority these days. So there is social change going on there. In fact, people don't seem to hold down relationships very well at all these days, and the need for multiple partners is going to change the fabric of our social structure. So we're evolving away from the nuclear family more towards the village, to use a metaphor. And secondly, I think the only way forward, you think that most of my inspiration came 30 years ago from sitting around in cafes, alternative cafes. If you can imagine an alternative cafe with loud, noisy music in, that doubles as an art gallery, and outside that cafe is a farmer's market, and that farmer's market just uses local produce, so there's no petrol dollars. And then we have a notion of the village where each village and each town is a republic, self-reliant, self-sufficient, with biodiversity. If we can start having a vision like this, I think there is a way forward. I mean, many of the people in this country, they're talking about less government. Good point. It's a very good point. But if we need to be self-sufficient, each area must be self-reliant and self-sufficient if we're going to take on those responsibilities. But I do think it's the way to go. These days I'm looking always for solutions. There's enough problems, you know. and people have asked me on this tour what my opinions are. I always say move away from population density centres. In fact, a group of you go and form a village and get as far away from people as possible, and concentrate on food supply. I mean, this is the way to go. This is what I personally believe in. As to the state of the world where we're in, I mean, gosh, it's where do we begin? Where do we end? You know, I mean, I take great interest in the Earth's geomagnetic field, and of course the magnetic pole is meant to be moving 2 inches every 10 years, and it's moving 100 kilometers a year. It's left Canadian territory, it's hurtling towards Siberia, and what we're hoping is that it's not a complete pole shift, that it goes in short stages. The Earth's geomagnetic field is decreasing to the extent that it's 0.005 Gauss, which means when the geomagnetic field of the planet decreases, it gives the impression of accelerating time, and when it increases, it slows time down. So the Earth is undergoing huge changes. What are we looking at? We're looking at mass migration from cities. We're looking at these things becoming ordinary. People in this country, they don't bat an eyelid over the fact that in Pakistan 20 million people are homeless. You know, it's just like, oh, that's happened over there. People are sort of kind of indifferent a little bit. They've been had so much sort of information and shocks and data. They're kind of numb to other human suffering, you know. And I think we'll be seeing what with Earth changes. I think we'll be seeing lots of migration. I mean, I went to somewhere this year, and I'd never been in 58 degrees. It was nearly 60. Now, if temperatures increase by a short time, I mean, people like in Morocco, in South Morocco and Africa, they're going to have to start migrating because it will be too hot for them. Plus, there's a lack of water. And then, of course, every month there's something happening, either volcanoes or earth tremors, and it's happening. They don't even reach the headlines half the time, but it's happening every month. And so sooner or later, a big city is going to get a big shakedown. It won't be just Haiti, and we'll be seeing this so regularly that in the end it's going to mean mass migration. It's going to change the face of the planet, you know. If you look at a picture of what the UK will look like in 12 years' time, I mean, there's a lot of water everywhere, and you know, there's a lot of land that's below sea level, and you can see there's going to be massive changes, and when the water comes in, people are going to have to move, and how this affects our lives, gosh, we can't even begin to sort of comprehend how much it's going to affect our lives. Again, the emphasis is on moving away from population density centres. You can work it out at any one time, and especially here in the US, we are 3 days and 9 meals away from complete chaos. That is to say, once the supermarkets go, that's where we get our food from, you know, and then I'd hate to be in an urban environment where there's no food. You know, food production is the single most critical point, I think, for us all. You've got mainland China, where the middle classes are eating more and more meat. They don't have enough arable land to feed their people, because the demand for meat, and it takes up so much more surface area of arable land. So either China changes its diet or expands its borders, and the population problem is something that nobody really wants to address. You know, even if we keep our own house in order in the West, and we say, for example, tax people for every child they have, and we give people tax breaks for the children they don't have. Even if we do that, that's not going to solve the problems of India and China. And so ultimately, I believe that Mother Nature will take the population down in her own way, one way or another. And I don't think it's something that we need to. I think we need to concentrate on food production. There's enough surface area of land on this planet to feed the entire population. you know. And I think once we start getting involved in Malthusian tactics of trying to kill off the economically worthless as an idea, that's when we lose our humanity. And this is just unthinkable and unacceptable to any Western nation.
Sort of ironically, though, it's good fodder for Killing Joke, isn't it?
It is, because I do believe that if I was to put any one of us in this room into the highest seat of government and you became an elite planner, once you saw the problems that were facing us, perhaps your actions wouldn't be so different to the people who are already sitting there. Is my point.
Often thought that, sure.
You know, so I don't know what to say about it all, other than the most important thing is the now, and the people we love, and to try and make the world a better place in the now.